We're in the forest of Punjab with a legend. This is the 2024 Jeep Wrangler, and it's got a significant update for this model year. You've got the obvious changes, you've got new styling, you've got refreshed interiors, but you've also got a full float rear axle, you've got updated off-road drive modes. This thing is a proper beast. The Wrangler is available in two variants. You've got the Unlimited and the more hardcore Rubicon. We're with the Rubicon and we're heading out in this private forest for a proper day of off-roading. And we're also probably going to cross the Sutlej in this car. Welcome to Evo India and welcome to our proper hardcore off-road drive review of the new Jeep Wrangler. Let's dive right in. One of the big changes for 2024 is the styling on the Wrangler Rubicon. The grille is completely refreshed. It looks more aggressive. It's got this overbite that looks really cool. And in the middle of this iconic 7-slat grille is a camera. This camera, it projects the trail ahead. So say you're pointing towards the sky, you can still see what's ahead of you. It's really useful when you're going off-road. Apart from that, the face, it remains iconic. You've got the circular headlamps, the 7-slat grille, this really jutting out aggressive bumper. It looks so bloody cool. Over at the side, you've got the Rubicon lettering on the bonnet. You've got the trail-rated badge, Jeep Wrangler written over there. Something that you'll notice that's new on the new Wrangler, not there on the old one, is there's no antenna near the bonnet and near the windscreen. It's actually integrated into the windscreen to make it better for off-roading, so your antenna isn't scraping against trees and bushes as you drive past them. Wheels. You've got 17-inch wheels with these aggressive tires on them. The Unlimited is more road biased. You've got 18-inch wheels with HTs on them. The doors on the Rubicon, this one has proper doors, but you can actually take them off, drive it without doors, or you can put in tube doors which are available as an accessory. Apart from that, there's nothing much to talk about at the rear. There are not too many changes, but you have to look at the ground clearance on this car, the approach angle, the departure angle, the ramp over angle. This thing is a long car, but it's still so insanely capable off-road because of the shape, because of the way it's designed. Now, let's get back in and continue driving. Okay, in the hot seat, what is the Wrangler like? Honestly, in here, from the changes that they've done, it looks like they've attempted to make it a lot more comfortable than before. And I think that's what they're going for. You look at the stuff that they've done in here, you know, you've got a completely refreshed dashboard. You've got Napa leather seats in the Rubicon version, a different leather in the Unlimited. You've got heated steering and seats. You've got electrically adjustable seats. And fun fact, these electrically adjustable seats, they can work under water. So the Wrangler has a wading depth of 34 inches, which means the seats may get submerged, and even then you can adjust your electrical seats. Apart from that, there's a lot of focus on noise isolation as well. You know, they've worked on keeping NVH low. A lot of sound deadening has been engineered into the body of this car. And apart from that, they've got active noise cancelling. This is the technology that the Range Rovers get, and they've got it in the Wrangler now. So 5 decibels from the sound deadening that they've put in the car and 15 decibels from the ANC. And you've got a really quiet cabin at the end of it. Like, we're driving along on this trail. It's very quiet. You can barely hear the engine. I can just hear the blower of the fan going off. Maybe the flexing of the body a little bit when we twist the chassis. But apart from that, it's quiet in here. Out on the road, yes, the mud tires on the Rubicon do make a little bit of noise, but it's a lot more contained than it used to be. But we're not here to talk about the luxury of the Wrangler. The Wrangler, it is a lot more livable with this facelift, but we're here to explore its capabilities. And what I like about this drive and what I like about Jeep is that they're not shy to show the capabilities of their cars. Most drives, they happen on curated tracks. You know, they'll build a track to the spec of the car and take you along there to show you its off-road ability. But that's not the case. Today we're literally in a private forest and we're just exploring the forest. So now let's talk about the fundamentals of the Jeep Rubicon. let's talk about what makes it capable to go off-road like this. Firstly, the engine. It's a 2-liter petrol engine. It's the same engine as before. 270 PS, 400 Nm of torque. And it's good enough for the Wrangler. On off-road trails, you've got enough torque at the low end. This is a turbocharged motor and it has variable valve timing. Plenty of torque at the low end. The chassis, obviously body on frame. You've got live axles, both front and rear. You've got mechanical locking diffs, both front and rear on the Rubicon. On the Unlimited, it is electronic locking diffs. And on the Rubicon, you can actually disconnect the sway bar. So basically your anti-roll bars, you can disconnect it so that you get a lot more axle articulation when you need it. You should see it on some of these axle articulation obstacles. Unbelievable. What's new for 2024 is the rear axle. Previously, the Rubicon got a semi-float rear axle. Now you've got a full float rear axle. And what that means is it can deal with a lot more forces. Your rear axle needs to deal with two kinds of forces. One is the twisting force that you put through the wheels. And the second type of force is the actual weight of the car. Your axle bears the load of the car. In a semi-floating axle, the axle shaft actually bears that vertical load of the car. However, in a full float axle like the one we have now, it's not just the axle shaft but the axle casing that bears the load. So the shaft can just bear one type of load, which is your twisting forces. What that allows you to do is slap bigger wheels onto the car if you want. Once you put your lift kit on there, it allows you to tow heavier weights because you can put more twisting force through the wheels. And it just generally makes this a lot more capable off-road. And obviously, in addition to all of that, you've got a proper 4-wheel drive system, 2 high, 4 high and 4 low. And that low range really makes the difference on really tough obstacles. So what's the Wrangler like to drive off-road? One word: effortless. It's unbelievably good off-road. Everything just works in its favor. You've got incredible dimensions, so good approach, good departure angles. The car sits quite tall. This is its stock height setting. This is without the lift kit. It's still so tall and nothing touches the underbelly. We've taken it over some really steep ruts, steep articulation over steep ditches where the ramp over angle really matters. Nothing touches over here. It's just so capable. Just the sheer dimensions of it are so capable. But then you get to the actual engineering of it, how the engine works, how the transmission works, how it puts down its power, and those tires, BF Goodrich mud tires that have so much traction off-road. We started off the morning on a really steep climb. It was nearly vertical. From inside the car, it felt vertical. But you just keep a steady throttle. When it's in 4-low, it just digs in and goes. There was no drama, no wheel spin. In fact, it was so dramaless that Rohit, my photographer, came up to me and said, "Arey, kya kar raha hai tu? Itna clean kyun chala raha hai?" You know, but that's not me, that's the car. I'm not a skilled off-road driver, I'm an amateur. But the car is so capable that it just clambers up without trouble. Post that, we went to a ridge on the mountain. And that's why we could really put the maneuverability of the Wrangler Rubicon on a trail to the test, because it was a proper ridge. It was really narrow. We had a steep mountain face on one side, a drop on the other side, and we had to maneuver the car. The Wrangler's a wide SUV, you know, you've got wide tracks for good stability. You've got these fenders that flare out, give it a really aggressive look on the road, but on a trail, you're always worried that that fender's gonna hit something. But it didn't, because it's actually really maneuverable. You've got good visibility, you know, your window line is pretty low, so you've got good visibility, large mirrors, and just a lot of confidence in the car. It's very easy to place on a trail. Something that helps is the cameras in here. If you go to this setting here, you got the forward facing camera, and it's a high res display, beautiful colors, and it shows you what's on the trail in front. It's really useful when you're driving around on tight trails. So often with these trails, you're pointing at the sky, you can't see what's in front of your wheels, and a camera like this just helps you out a lot. Then we came to the axle articulation bits. Now these are slightly artificial bits that were created to show how stable the Wrangler is, and it's a simple button here to disconnect the sway bar. You don't have to do any manual labor to do anything. Press a button, click that Off-Road Plus mode where it helps you detect its traction and throttle and how to deliver power to the wheels. And the Wrangler sits flat and the wheels drop into these articulation pits and just no drama, and it just goes through. Other SUVs, you know, because they don't have this sway bar disconnect, they tip one wheel up, one wheel down. This was absolutely flawless. You know, we were trying to shoot the rear axle on that stretch because we were like, okay, new rear axle, we should get a picture of it. But it just doesn't lift its wheels because it's got so much wheel travel. It made shooting that rear axle a real challenge. We even took the Wrangler to a dry riverbed, proper sandy surfaces, and again, put it in full low, just feather the throttle. And I mean, on sand, the feedback is a little muted because your steering is all over the place and your wheels are all over the place and you're tracking whatever the tracks in front of you are. But nothing stops the car. Nothing can stop it. You know, even if you come to a full halt, obviously, good technique, gentle on the brakes, gentle with the throttle, and very little can stop the Wrangler. But I think the highlight, the real highlight of today has to be the water crossing. We were on the banks of the Sutlej River. It was properly flowing. It rained in the mountains a couple of days ago. There was a proper current downstream. And here we were in the Wrangler, completely stock, saying, let's cross it. Yes, we had backup. We had a Wrangler Rubicon with a winch and everything on standby in case anything happened. We didn't need it. We just dipped our wheels into the water, got in, steady throttle, keep your revs at 1800 to 2000 as our instructor told us, and let that bow wave form in front of the car and just see it through to the other side. And it's exhilarating, you know, you have nothing around you except water. You dip the car so deep into water, you can hear the exhaust go underwater, and that's scary because you know if you let up or if you kill the engine, bad things can happen. But nope, just follows through. With the automatic gearbox, it's obviously a little less stressful because there's no chance you can really stall the car, and it's just exhilarating because it's not something you see every day. Driving through a proper free-flowing river, it's a really, really special experience. And like I told you at the start, this is not some curated experience that they've done for us here. This is proper natural obstacles. And that's the beauty of the Wrangler. It's designed for this. It's designed to take you anywhere. It doesn't matter where. You want to cross a river? Go for it. You want to climb up a mountain and drive its ridge? Go for it. You want to drive through a forest? As long as the trees are wide enough to let the Wrangler through, go for it. Nothing can stop you over here. And you must be wondering, Aatish is just praising the Wrangler. And I am, because I'm driving the Wrangler where it is flawless. Take the Wrangler out onto the road and it's not going to be so nice, you know. You're going to have a little bit of jiggle from the suspension because it is firm. It is a body on frame chassis on mud tires. It's not designed to go down the highway like a GLE or something, you know. It's just a little compromised in that respect. Similarly, the back seats aren't the most comfortable. You've got limited thigh support, you've got a very upright backrest. It's, again, compromised, but in its element, in the wild, off-road, when you're out discovering, this thing is magic. It's so special. And what I love the most about it is it feels refined, it feels complete. The finishing, the last bit on these off-roaders is sometimes missing. They feel a little crude and agricultural, but that's not the case with the Wrangler. It feels so complete. What a machine. I love it. I absolutely love it. So what's the verdict on the Wrangler? Honestly, it's a hard car not to fall in love with. When you're behind the wheel, you are always grinning. Sure, it's compromised. It's not going to be the greatest car on the road. The backseat's not going to be the most comfortable. The ride is not going to be the most settled. But then when you've got a river to cross or a mountain to climb or a jungle to drive through, you'd rather not have any car but the Wrangler by your side. There, in the driver's seat, no mountain feels big enough because it just goes and goes and goes. And the best part is you are always smiling, and that's why I love it.